Hello, my name is Natavan,
And I'm
uh,
Jumana.
and today we are here as international student ambassadors to introduce you to life as a student in Estonia and at University of Tartu. Um, so, where is Estonia? Uh, I guess that for people who are coming far away, this is a needed information. Estonia is in southern Europe. It's a Baltic country, and our neighbors include Russia, Latvia, Finland, and Sweden. Um, it's a very small country. The population of Estonia is just 1.37 million people, which is um, three times smaller than my the city that I was born in. And two-thirds of the country are ethnic Estonians, and one-fifth are ethnic Russians. The other 10% are come from other ethnicities, and primarily those are Ukrainians. Um, the Estonians speak a lot of foreign languages, and they speak English very, very well. 48% of Estonian can speak English, and from my personal experience, I have lived here for 3 years now, and I have never had a difficulty in speaking English to an Estonian. And also 40% can speak Russian. So, where is Tartu? Tartu, known as many other names previously, is located in eastern southern part of Estonia. It's the second largest city, and every one in five residents here either studies or works or is somehow related to University of Tartu. Um, This city is known as the capital of southern Estonia, the intellectual capital of Estonia, the city of youth, and last year, in year 2024, it was said to be a European capital of culture. It's a very small city, very cozy. The everything is at walking distance, basically. Um, it's very safe, and it has a very active cultural life. Like for a city this small, there are so many events happening every day in here. So yes. University of Tartu, a little bit of university. So it ranks amongst the first 350 world's best universities. And it's the largest university in Estonia. It was established by a Swedish king, Gustav II Adolf, in 1632. And it has around 15,100 students, of which 10% are international students. Um, it's the highest ranked university in Estonia, and we have four faculties here: arts and humanities, social sciences, science technology, and medicine. I'm personally from science and technology program. I study bachelor level science technology third year. And Jumana, you know.
Yeah, so I'm from the medicine faculty. I study the integrated bachelor's and master's medicine course there. So, yeah.
Yeah. And we have 29 international degree programs, of which two are bachelor level, one is integrated bachelor and master's in medicine, and the others are master's programs. And we have 160 locations in 40 buildings across five cities in Estonia. So it's indeed the largest university in Estonia. Um, Yeah, we have a lot of students from many different countries, of which the first five are Finland, Pakistan, Azerbaijan, Nigeria, and Bangladesh. And yeah, these are pretty commonly first five for a long time. It's interchanging every year, but Finland being in the first place never changes. Um, so yes, and yes, as I said, the diversity is primarily in our master's programs because we have way more international master's program than bachelor's. Um, so yeah, if you want to get to know Estonia, you should read our blogs about Estonian culture, Estonian language, Estonian people, just to have a better understanding of which country and which people you are coming to. And definitely make Estonian friends, balance studying with socializing, meet people, go outside, socializing with people that are from the country you're in is um, first of all very culturally educating, and second of all very useful when you're alone in a foreign country. And yeah, there's always an event hosted by Erasmus Student Network, and there you it's not only exchange students you can meet here, but indeed a lot of Estonians also go to those events. You can join Facebook groups. Estonians are pretty fond of Facebook, and most of their activities, events, and are all listed there. Um, yeah, and I guess the first thing that comes to everyone's mind is be prepared for the winter. Um, Purchase your winter clothing. -20 is not even the lowest that I have witnessed. So be prepared for cold, but also a lot of snow and fun and skiing and skating and everything. So what are the costs of living in Estonia? Student needs around 600 to 800 euros per month. This heavily depends on your lifestyle. It depends on whether you're living in a dorm or an apartment. It depends. Do you eat out more or do you eat at home? Which activities you prefer? You want to do? Do you go to special activities like gym or something else? Yeah, but purely food is around 250 to 400 euros, depending again if you eat out or in. Um, we have a lot of daily lunch specials at university cafeterias and in restaurants too. We have a lot of student discounts that you can get with an ISIC card. ISIC card is a student identity card. It's your bank card. Um, Also, transportation is, I would say, compared to other European cities, quite cheap in Tartu. Um, it's around 13 euros for youth and 19 for regulars. Um, Mobile phone, you can get very cheap internet packs and also for sport, for example, we have the university sports hall where you can purchase mm, like a pass for an entire semester for 40 euros, if I'm not mistaken. But also you can go to private gyms as well, which I will talk about later. And entertainment is up to you how much you spend on it. Yeah, it varies, but for a month, I guess around 50 euros. Um, so, about renting. As I said, you can stay in a dorm, you can rent an apartment for yourself, you can share an apartment with your friends, but renting a single bed in a double room is 167 euros as of now. You can also rent two single beds and then you will have the whole rooms yourself, and the price will go like accordingly twice as much. There's also options for single rooms and studio apartments, but they are quite hard to get due to long queues to those. So you should be prepared for that. But yeah, and apartments are all the way, it's a range starting from around 350 euros to up to however much you want. But I would say that yeah, a decent one bed studio is around 500 euros to rent here. And you can always share an apartment with someone as well. But I would definitely advise you to secure a dormitory room and then come and get your apartment in person because that's just way easier to do, I think. Um, and yeah, of course, always be careful with contracts and always be careful about hidden fees, deposits, and yeah, some landlords do indeed prefer Estonian speaking tenants. And here are some websites or in Facebook groups you can use for that. Some, yeah, if after you get into your dorm or house, you will need to get some homeware, and for that, we have a range of different places where you can purchase that from. As I said, Tartu is a very small city, but surprisingly, we do have everything and anything you would need. And everything that we don't have, you can order in. The ordering works quite easily. For example, we have an IKEA which is pretty small in Tartu, but you can order from Tallinn and it will arrive in a couple of business days. There are also thrifting and secondhand options, and they also sell a lot of homeware. Um, a lot of points for electronics. Also, optionally, you can order them in. Um, and yeah, always Facebook Marketplace. Facebook Marketplace is a very useful place for when you want to buy or sell. So I definitely suggest creating an account there. And yeah, if you need something, then look there too. Um, Also, I wanted to say that all deliveries delivered to Tartu with no problem. Amazon comes here and every other delivery that you can think of, everything delivers here pretty normally. Groceries. The main chains are Rimi, Coop, Prisma, which is the only one that works 24/7, Lidl, Maxima, Selver. And for all of those, you can get client cards. And I definitely advise you to do that because they can provide a lot of discounts and a lot of bonus points. And it's just a very useful thing. You will save so much money. And we have a lot of big shopping center, not big, but for Tartu, they're big. Tasku, Kvartal, Kalmaya, Nekeskneden, and in those we have cinemas, um, you know, shopping for clothes, homeware, everything, and every single one of them has a grocery shop. Also, there are some markets with if you want more like a farmer's market kind of thing, and if you want like some special, I don't know, type of meat or something more niche, then I would suggest going to those markets. There are also food sharing opportunities in Tartu, and the most useful one is probably Radusa 22, which is a dorm nearby city center, so it's easy to go there. And in the evenings, they bring food from grocery shops that um, for food sharing. Yeah, and all dormitories have quite large grocery shops nearby, so that's not a problem. And delivery services are also work great. And sometimes even delivery services have the discounts that groceries don't. So also always check that out. Lunches and meals, you can also look into that, but they all have, but every, as I said, almost every cafeteria restaurant here has a student discount option. And yeah, also institutes all have kitchens, so you can always cook for yourself and bring your own food. And we have a lot of blog posts about that, about special food preferences and how to accommodate yourself in Tartu for that, and recipes and how to adapt maybe your recipes from your home in Tartu and Estonian realities. So yes, check out our blogs on that. And we also have sport facilities and gyms. As I said, the university gym, the University of Tartu Sports Hall is has pretty good discounts for university students. Nearby one of the dorms, we have Lemon Gym, which is very easy to go to because it's very close in the same building. And a lot of other chains, and we also have a water park and a swimming pool. Um, and these are all pretty great, and the prices range from 20 euros per month up to 80 and 100, depending on what do you want. Transportation here, Tartu is a very bicycle and scooter friendly city until it snows. And after it does, then, well, yeah, these are no longer a safe option. So I would suggest purchasing a bus card if your institute is far away from your home, and you can always do that and buy a bus card at our kiosk. Also download the Tartu bus ticket app, and it's very easy to just load your card and go on to bus. The checkings are rare but strict, and don't get fined. Buy your tickets in time. And yes, you can also rent, as I said, bikes and scooters and everything else here too. But it's also, as I said, everything is walking distance, even if it seems far. But in winter, when it's cold, it really is far. So yeah. And a little bit about long distance. So intercity bus services, for example, Lux Express, Go Bus, Flixbus, they all travel from Tartu to Tallinn, from Tartu to Riga, to nearby cities to Tartu. If you want a little bit further, there are sometimes buses from Tartu to Tallinn and then Tallinn to wherever you would want. Um, and yes, these are also quite easy to purchase. The websites are very clear, and I think this is a great opportunity to travel in inside Estonia and in nearby countries. Also, there are train services. There's also a Tartu Tallinn train, and our closest airport is Tartu Airport. But as I know, there's only one operating flight in Tartu Airport, which is Tartu Helsinki, and it's quite expensive. So it's not used a lot. So our second closest is Tallinn, and then also Riga Airport. And Riga Airport has a little bit more options, and but Air Baltic flies directly from both of these airports to many different countries. Yeah, so that's that.
So, moving on to the University of Tartu museums. Um, so there's a lot of mu museums here in Tartu, and there's a lot of them that are actually like sort of run or operated by or owned by the university itself. So you have the universal, you just have the normal one, the art museum, the old observatory, the natural history museum, and then the botanical gardens. So these are just generally speaking really great places to visit if you're trying to get to know the city or the history of Estonia and Tartu as well specifically. Um, and so yeah, and this is a very important note to have that if you're a university student, then you can get in there for free. Um, I think it was that people are given like sort of a password during the induction days so that you can like enter as a student for free. But yeah, Natavan,
Yes.
can you move the slide, please?
Oh, sorry.
But there's not only museums, there's also lots of other places that you can go just for fun or outside of your study hours. So there's things like the AHA Printing Science Center, there's the Printing Museum, there's the Tartu City Museum, the Tartu Art Museum, and then there's the Tartu Toy Museum, as well as things like the Elektriteater, which is translates to the Electricity Theater. Um, and then there's also the Estonian Literature Museum. So depending on what you're interested in or what you prefer or what you enjoy, you can find things that will definitely sort of fit your vibe and where you can go to meet and hang out with other people like you. And then you can travel. So Estonia is quite small, but it also has a lot of places that you can visit. So things like South Estonia, and we just had an article about that published on our blog, which I'm going to talk about a bit later. You can go to Tallinn, you can go to Viljandi, and then there's a lot of islands. So as you can see here, 2,222. So there's no shortage of places to visit if you're a traveling type of person in Estonia. And then there's also the events. So there's a lot of events that are arranged by the Erasmus Student Network, which Natavan already mentioned. And over there, it's not only Erasmus students that are allowed to go or international students that go there. There's actually a lot of Estonians that go there as well as international students, and you can go there to meet other people. Um, and so they have things like karaoke nights, pub quizzes, language cafes, board game night, cultural evenings, and then they also have trips that can last from a day to three, I think. And they go to a lot of places. I personally don't remember where exactly, but they do have a lot of things going on. And then there's the AIG student organization. So they're eco-friendly green organization which offers hiking tours, tree plantings, and so on. So if you're um, well, environment enthusiast or environmentalist, then that is the place to go. And then you can also visit the Tartu website because they have a lot of different activities that are arranged by the city itself. So there's things like the Christmas market, there's the pancake mornings and student days that are arranged in autumn and spring. And so there's a lot of like different events that are arranged by the city itself. And if you want to know what those are, then the Tartu website is the way to go. Um, and then more about us. So we're the International Student Ambassadors. It, it's a program that was founded in 2012, so a while ago. Um, and so we just volunteer there, and basically we're here to help you or help prospective and current students, international students, kind of get a feel of the university and get a real sense of how to survive and adapt and overcome in this little city. And so yeah, you can reach us from any of those platforms. You can email us, you can look at our website. We have a blog where we talk about different aspects of our university life, so on and so forth. So yeah, so that's the blog. Um, so in the blog, as you can see, these are actually screenshots of some of the latest ones that we've published this year. Um, and there we talk about a lot of things from adjusting to life to studying to career and how to work, um, personal experiences, cultural insights, and then there's also things like when we talk about our own study courses and how it's going for us, our personal stories, etc., etc. And then we have a Facebook, um, where we publish or we post a lot about useful tips, new blog posts, and so you can message us through the Facebook chat if you have any questions. And then we recently also started an Instagram, um, which I don't know where that is. Um, but yeah, so we have an Instagram and then there's the Facebook. Uh, and so yeah, there's also the podcast. So this is these are a few of our lovely people from the ISA. You can see Natavan in that picture as well. And so basically, it's the podcast. We talk on there about traveling, accommodation, student organizations, healthcare, working, student abroad, study abroad opportunities, and a lot more. And so you can find it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube, and it's very widely available. So just check it out. And if you have any questions that we maybe not we may not be fully able to answer, then you can always contact these specific contacts and supports. So there's the visa support. The admissions office can help you find out more information about specific like requirements for your specific course that you're looking at. The Study Abroad Center, the Police and Border Guard Board, and then the student residency, the Welcome Center, and the International House of Estonia, they're all very important and very useful um, for when you have questions. So thank you. And well, we hope that you join us soon and that you enjoy your time here if and when you do. So, any questions?
Yes, we are open for questions. Please leave them in the chat. And for now, we would like to answer some of the questions that turned up at our previous session. So maybe you would be interested in those answers too. And one of the questions was, how do you handle the darkness during the winter months? So, as you know, Estonia changes its time in summer and winter. And yeah, when it changes to winter time, the days get a lot shorter. But that's not a problem if you take your vitamin D, and if you just um, are busy enough to not notice it. And usually, as a university student, you are. Also, almost as soon as it starts getting dark very early, we also have Christmas ornaments hung up around. So they are very pretty at nighttime. So it's very convenient that it gets darker earlier. Uh, what would you say on that, Jumana?
Well, I mean, as a medicine student, I've personally been a bit too swamped to realize how dark it's getting. You kind of just go with the flow, and then one day you wake up and it's dark, and you're like, oh, it's already started. Okay, then. Um, but at the same time, like you said, Natavan, there's a lot of things that already start happening when it starts to get darker. Um, so I go to the city center a bit, and over there, they're already starting to build the Christmas market. Um, so it's like, yes, it's getting dark, but then there's also things that happen to make it more fun and more entertaining. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you get really sad. So yeah.
Yes. And another question was, what was our biggest culture shock when we moved to Estonia, and how did we handle it? So I think Jumana moved to Estonia way earlier than I did, so maybe you can share.
Um, well, 1 second. Oh no. Yeah. So, I mean, personally, I moved here when I was still in middle school or high school, so it's been a really long amount of time. And back then, I want to say that Estonia wasn't necessarily as international as it is now. So I came here when people were still very sort of the quiet stereotype that you may have heard. Um, so it was a bit different for me, but I think that once you come here and like especially nowadays, it's the culture shock isn't really that big. Um, People are a lot more talkative. They're a lot warmer in a sense. Um, and so yeah, like even I think my biggest culture shock when I moved here was how English wasn't necessarily that strong, but like you said, now it is. And I have no problem now talking to someone in English, but back then that might have been a bit of a problem. So things have evolved and things have changed. But what do you think?
Uh, my biggest shock was I moved here from Spain, and Spanish people are very talkative and they talk a lot and at the same time. So when I got into public places in Estonia and it was quiet and I was the loudest one there, that was probably the most shocking part, and I had to adjust my volume over the time I spent here. I think now it's fine, but then it was really like I felt like I was screaming in public places, even if it was normal in my home country and in Spain where I lived. So yeah, this is the biggest one. Um, Another question we have is what is the food like, and are there any shops that sell international spices and things? Oh, that's a good topic because my own like the my in my culture we use a lot of spices, we use a lot of different foods, and we have a dish called dolma, and it's in wine leaves, meat in wine leaves, and I've been able to find actual vine leaves here at one of the shops, so nothing is impossible, and you can find pretty much almost everything, or if you can't find it, then there are good substitutes for that. There's no spices deficit in the shops. There are also a couple of Asian markets around, and if you can find them in Tartu, then you definitely can find them in Tallinn, which is bigger and there's a larger variety of shops. So yeah, I never had a huge crisis. The only thing is for meat. Well, that's a little bit of a bigger topic. But also I have been able to find really good quality meat here, too. So yeah, if you search, you'll find.
Yeah, and to sort of add on to that, there's a I want to say international section in all of the supermarkets, similarly to how there is a vegan section in all of the supermarkets. So those are sort of like your go-to and more easily accessible things. And then if you're looking for something that's a bit more niche, then I would recommend looking at one of the Asian stores, or there's also an African store if that's something that interests you more. So I personally just recently went there for the first time. And by there, I mean the African store. And they actually had a lot of stuff that was useful to me and my friends because we all come from that background and it was something that we were looking at and we were looking for those things. Um, and so, like Natavan said, it's something that if you search for something, you will find it. It may take a bit more or a bit less energy, but you will find it at the end of the day.
Yes.
Um, but let's move on to the next question. So, do you study together with Estonians? I've heard Estonians are quite introverted. Can you make friends with them?
Okay, I can start, and I study with. In my own course, we only had two Estonian students, and one of them transferred to another program. So we are left with one. And I wouldn't say that Estonians are that introverted. It's possible to create pretty good group mate relationship with them, and even friendly relationships if you uh, like try and put effort into it. From my personal experience, I have noticed that Estonians really like when you are actually interested in their culture as an international student and you actually make an effort to learn about their traditions, about their language, about their food, and whatever. So that would be my tip. Be present and interested with the culture of the people in which country you live in. And Yeah, so, but as I said, I don't have that much experience with Estonians because I only have one group mate. Um, Maybe Jumana has more.
I don't. So if you're in the international group, you're kind of separated. You have separate lessons from the Estonians. Um, but at least in my faculty, sometimes if you're doing certain courses, then those are combined between the Estonians and the international groups, but that's more so things that are, well, optional courses. So if you have things like, for us, we had a special dissection course, then that was extracurricular, so we had the Estonians with us in that group. However, I agree that Estonians aren't really as introverted as you think. They, like I said, they've definitely gotten warmer over time. They've gotten more international. They've gotten a lot louder. They talk to people more. They start conversations more. And it's actually quite easy to make friends with them. So I think most of my friends here in Tartu are actually Estonians. Um, so yeah, it's
Yeah.
just sometimes I think the biggest tip we can give if you're trying to ever become a friend with an Estonian or befriend an Estonian, then start the conversation. You're gonna have to do that for the first few times, and then it's gonna end up being like top tier friendship. Um, so yeah.
Okay, let's see what other questions we have from the Q&A. Um, um, so there's a question. Do you recommend to stay 1 year learning Estonian and the culture, or is it enough to go directly to study? So you don't need to previously live in Estonia to feel comfortable here. As I said, almost everyone here knows either English or Russian, and yeah, English is very widespread. So you won't have many difficulties in adapting. But it is useful to start learning Estonian once you get here, as we mentioned, to make new Estonian friends. And yeah, for example, I came here directly to study, and many others do that. I would say that more people come here directly to study than live and then study. So that's a very common experience, and there's nothing scary about it. And I would even say that Estonia is one of the better countries where you can easily adapt as, someone who just finished high school and are starting their university studies. So, um, yeah, that's that.
Yeah. And as far as I'm aware, recently they've also sort of implemented the fact that you have one sort of introductory course to the Estonian language when you first join. So you don't necessarily have to have stayed here beforehand because you kind of get to know a few you get to learn a few words along the way anyways. But yeah.
There's a question about science technology program. So let me answer that. So for the Bachelor of Science Technology, how are students generally supported if they struggle in technical courses? And what kind of internships are available for international students? So professors at the University of Tartu are very supportive. Everyone knows what background you come from if you tell them, and especially during your first year of studies, every professor asks you which background do you come from. Like, have you done programming before? Have you been in a lab before? Have you held a pipette before? And as soon as you make that aware, everyone knows what to expect from you, and everyone is more than happy to help you along the way. As a first year student, no one expects you to win a Nobel Prize in your first year of studies. So it's fine that you don't know some lab techniques. I personally didn't know any lab techniques. My school didn't have a lab, and I have learned everything along the way. Everyone is very friendly. And internships, well, starting from I would say the second semester of your studies, you can start applying to labs whose research are interesting to you, and where you would want to conduct your thesis. Or even if you don't want, if you want to try things out, you can go to multiple labs, see what you like, and then choose one for your final thesis. And this is kind of up to you. You write to those lab directors, you ask them if they have available spots, if they're able to accept new students, and they will find you a supervisor inside that research group, and you will get onto hands-on experience in a lab. So yes, that's that.
Uh,
Um, yeah.
and I'll take the next question, which was, what time does it normally get dark in Tartu? Um, well, it depends on what time of the year it is, I will say. So it can range from around 2 p.m. to, well, in summer, there are days where the sun literally doesn't set. Um, so the summers are long days and the winters are long nights. Um, but like I said, it can range. So usually during the study period, I will say that it goes from around sunsets at 8 at night, for example, in the beginning of the study and end, right?
Um, yeah, I would say that.
Yeah. And then in the dead of winter, where it's really like during the coldest and most winter time of the year, then it would set at around 2 to 3 p.m., maybe 4.
Yeah.
But
But
that's
then you
usually the
don't,
range.
yeah, but then you don't really care that much because it's so cold that you don't want to go outside anyway. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Uh,
I wouldn't say that this is an inconvenience. I understand that some people are not used to it. I come from a very sunny places, so indeed it's like a little bit unusual. But you can romanticize it, and it's like very cool, especially around Christmas times, and even after that, there's snow and it's very pretty. So I don't think this is a huge problem as long as you care for your health and mental health because seasonal depression hits hard sometimes. So yeah, that's
yeah.
that.
And also there are a lot of innovations that Estonians have to help with the darkness. So there's things like the sunlight lamp, and also during the times when it's dark for the longest, you tend to have snow. And one thing about snow is that it reflects light. So even then, you can't really tell that it's that dark outside. Um, it tends to be very fun. And yeah, the only most important thing is just, like Natavan said, to take care of your health and make sure that you don't get sick and that your mental health is okay. Um,
Yeah. So the next question is, can we tell about health services here? Um, so regarding health services, you can get insurance that will based on your needs, and you need to get insurance, I think, and based on your needs, and this will cover your, depending on which one you choose, a certain amount of your health services. There's also an emergency room here, which you can go to in case of an emergency. And yeah, I personally, fortunately, haven't had many incidents where I would use health services. Maybe Jumana can elaborate on that.
I'm also lucky enough to not have had to go anywhere so far, at least in Tartu. So I, we don't have necessarily practical experience with the health services, but something that you will definitely need is health insurance. Um, and the health insurance here is quite good. Like it covers a lot of your expenses that you might need. So yeah.
And it's very easy to use. The apps are very user friendly, and the support lines are also working well. So
Yeah, and Estonia has a family doctor system. So when you come here to Estonia, you sort of sign up or register with a certain doctor, and that becomes your general practitioner. And then if, and those are sort of your contact person with the health services. Um, and from there, they can send you referrals if you need them to the hospital, to a specialist, etc. Um,
Yeah, but I would also suggest looking for those in advance, because they're quite long queues, and sometimes it's harder, a little bit harder to get appointed to a certain family doctor.
Yeah, especially because I don't want to say this, but I don't want to say, I don't want to make it sound too bad, but there's quite a small number of family doctors that actually speak English that well. Um, so you would need to sort of look for family doctors prior to coming here by a little bit. Um, but I also want to say this, that health services, bank services, all types of services are very easily accessible online. So Estonia is an e-country, um, as we like to call it. So almost everything can be done online, and the platforms through which you do it are quite easily accessible, and they're very like user friendly. Um, so yeah,
Yeah.
that,
Can you get a job easily when studying? Depends on what program you study. Some are more attendance heavy than others. For example, in my program, we have 6 hour lab sessions per day, twice a week. So getting a full-time job with that would be a little bit difficult. But part-time jobs, many of my personal, like my group mates have them. Uh, I have a part-time job in my lab, so um, it's possible, as long as you are very clear and transparent with your employer that you are studying and this is your main priority, finishing your studies and how many hours you can work and that. Um, yeah, and getting a job inside of your specialty that you're already studying is always much better because you're getting a hands-on experience and kind of like making money. So, yeah.
yeah. So technically, your biggest issue when it comes to getting a job here is how well it fits into your schedule. In the aspect of getting the job, like applying for jobs and getting them, that's really easy, and there's like three platforms where you can find job postings. Um, there's like CV.e, CV Keskus and stuff like that, and those are sort of like the job application websites. Um, so it depends on what course you're studying, and that's how it may or may not impact your job journey, if you will. But we've also got articles that have been published about that from people in the international student ambassadors who also have part-time job or full-time jobs alongside their studies. Um,
Yes.
yes.
What master course? Oh yeah, that's
Yeah.
we're already getting an answer on that. Yeah, so please add your more questions. And in the meanwhile, we have a couple of leftover questions from previous chat. Um, so, do you study Estonian language and how difficult it is? Jumana, I'll let you talk on that because you know it.
So well, I personally, since I've lived here for so long, I've had the opportunity to learn Estonian a bit more in depth. Um, I think, like I said previously, all university courses nowadays have like sort of the introductory Estonian course. So you kind of get to know the like hi, hello of the language. Um, and difficulty is quite hard to pinpoint because then again, it comes from it's directly related to how many languages you already know, what languages you already know. Um, and so there's not one concrete answer I can give you with that one. Um, for me, I think Estonian wasn't necessarily that difficult, but then again, looking at my background, I speak a bunch of languages, so it was kind of easy to connect it to those pre-existing knowledge I had.
But also, it's worth knowing that Estonian is not similar to most of European languages. It's only similar to Finnish and Hungarian, as far as I know. Yeah.
Yeah, and just to make sure that it is similar. We don't mean that it's the same. Words
Yeah,
may
it's
sound
not the
the same,
same,
they are
but
not.
like the logic of the language is similar, more on that. Um, so yeah, but if you don't have background in any of those languages, then well, it may be a little bit more harder to grasp the logic behind the language. But I have studied Estonian for 2 semesters, and well, it's definitely useful to know something for your everyday life, not to translate every single thing you see at the grocery shop. That's quite useful. Yeah.
Yeah, and sort of in the same vein as that, you kind of already start picking up certain words the more you see them. So you don't necessarily have to learn or study the language for you to learn it. Um, I remember that like 2 weeks into going to the supermarket, I had already knew like the basic words of like milk, rice, and stuff like that. So um, some terminology you just pick up over time, just naturally, sort of passively, if you will. Um, but yeah, I think that's it for that question. We can move on. So we got a question of how fast and easy is it to open a bank account and to get a phone number?
For phone number, it's very easy. You just go and buy a phone number at your local air kiosk or a mobile operator shop. And it's very easy to handle. There's apps for every single provider that you would choose, and they're all very user friendly. And yeah, phone number is not a problem at all. I personally don't have an Estonian bank account, so maybe Jumana can tell about that.
Well, I did it so long ago that I don't honestly remember what it was like, but um, you
You
basically it's quite easy as well. Like I said, everything is online, so you don't necessarily even have to go anywhere. You can just go on and go open a bank account, click that button, and then go through the process. Um, but yeah.
Also, there's student identity cards that are connected to your bank account. For example, in Swedbank, they have an ISIC card, which gives you a lot of discounts on many things like transport and restaurants and um, other things. So yeah, I would definitely check that out. And overall, as Jumana said, everything is very online. So but obviously I would go in person because, they can help you in person to download everything, get all your codes. Yeah, and always beware of people trying to scam you. Uh, so because everything is online, sometimes you get so used to, everything being handled over messages and emails that you kind of lose the grasp when it's not your bank anymore, but scammers. So always be careful on that. But that applies to everything. So yeah.
Um,
Oh, in your experience, what do you like most about Tartu? Huh, there's a lot of things. I personally like how safe it is. You know, as a woman, it's very great to have a feeling that you can go out at 2 a.m. in the morning and nothing will happen to, I mean, obviously you always have to be careful, but it's a relatively safe city, and yeah, you can feel quite safe, and it gets dark so quickly, but you never feel like you're, tense or at danger. So that was a very important thing to me since I moved here when I was 16 and I was alone. So it was very important for me to, feel safe around here, and for my parents too. So yeah, that's my most favorite thing about Tartu, probably.
for me, I think the best part was the calmness of it all. Um, I am a big city girl, yes, and I was born in a very loud country, but I was the type of person to just kind of get overwhelmed by all the noise. And so it was nice that when I came here, I could just rest and people were quiet and everything was quiet and it's just calm. And if you like your alone time, then you get it. Um, and if you don't want your alone time, then there's also the possibility to go out and meet other people. It offers both. So that's definitely, I think, my favorite part of it.
That's the specialty of Tartu particularly, that you can get the calm and the fun at the same place in the scope of one small city, because the international student community here is very large and friendly and very active. We have tons of events. So if you ever get tired of the quietness, which can happen to people who come to from big cities like me and Jumana, and then if you get tired of it, then you can always find some activities, and you will never feel like it's boring, especially when you study a lot.
Thing is that the international students are so it's sort of like a tight-knit community where if you want it and like the sort of years of international students tend to help each other out a lot. So you can hang out with like people from two and 3 years ahead of you. Um, and it's still like super normal and super chill.
Yeah. So thank you for attending this webinar. We'll slowly wrap up. And thank you for attending. We were very glad to tell you all about Tartu. We hope to see you here. Um,
And if you have any other questions that we could not answer or did not have the opportunity to answer, feel free to either email us. We have our profiles on the International Student Ambassadors page, email the university, or just DM us on Facebook or Instagram. We're really easily accessible.
yes. Thank you for attending and goodbye.
Bye.